Hi, my name is Brad McBride. Today we're going to talk about regenerating forklift batteries and a new profit center for your business. About 6 years ago, I was like most dealers. When we sold a new electric forklift, we ordered the battery from our local battery distributor. And when we needed used batteries, we purchased so-called reconditioned batteries, of which I found out later that there really wasn't such a thing. It wasn't until I found a company outside the US that actually had a machine that supposedly was able to desulfate used batteries. So what the heck? I sold these batteries for about 2 years, and finally I was able to sell a battery with confidence and put some meaning to the word reconditioned. I was so impressed with the regenerated batteries that I had to go find out how and what the process was for myself. So after 2 trips to Europe, I was hooked, and I had heard previously about Europe's electric technology and how it was beyond that of ours, but I really didn't understand to what degree. I purchased my first regeneration machine in December of 2013 and haven't looked back since. Okay, so how does this process work? The first thing to realize is you're the only one that can offer this service. Not every battery is a candidate for regeneration. However, once you have the battery in your shop and have gone through the evaluation process, aging, charging, reading voltage, hydrometer readings, and finally a load bank test, you will then have the tools to guide the customer to the appropriate next step. Regeneration. Of course, this is your first goal, to be able to save and increase the life of the customer's battery through regeneration. When a battery meets eligibility requirements is when the fun begins. The battery is connected, parameters set, and the process begins, shooting high amperage pulses hundreds of times per second for 72 hours. What can you expect from a regened battery? A battery that has been successfully regenerated can expect a longer runtime than before the process. We have seen cases of 35 to 40% increase in runtime, not to mention that charging time will decrease because the battery has been desulfated or cleaned and no longer has the amount of sulfation restricting the charging current to the battery. What do you do with the batteries that can't be regenerated? Sometimes individual cells within the battery show to be very strong. These particular cells can be regenerated, retested, and then used as replacement cells. The remaining cells that cannot be reclaimed are added to our very lucrative kitty of scrap batteries. The key to all of this is, as an owner of a regeneration machine and the automatic load bank, you're able to offer the customer something that no one else can offer: a cost-effective method of reclaiming the life of their existing battery, and again, without a lot of labor. It seems clear what you can offer the customer. Are there any benefits internally for your existing rental fleet? Initially, we used our electric rental fleet as a way to train ourselves on the whole process. This in turn extended the life of our batteries, which frankly had been neglected. I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars I've saved regenerating our own batteries. So far, we've talked a lot about regeneration. Now I'd like to give some consideration on how and what we test the battery with before regeneration. I know I've used the word load bank a lot, which most of you are familiar with. What I've found, though, that is most battery companies are still using the old manual Plascoda load banks, which require labor-intensive hourly voltage checks. Well, that's a thing of the past. Along with the regeneration machine, I am offering a load bank that, once hooked up, automatically takes individual cell readings up to the 6-hour test. These results are used to determine regeneration candidates and overall capacity of the battery. Results are capable of being printed in bar graphics or specific voltage readings. Cell replacement. After a load bank, you will find, for example, let's say 3 cells that don't meet predetermined qualifications. Those cells are replaced, followed by the regeneration of the battery. The strength or capacity of the battery can be verified through load banks after you regen it. This is when your confidence starts to build as you see the process really does work and offers the customer an alternative to buying a new battery. Finally, let's assume that your customer wants to buy a new battery. For some of you that already have a battery line you represent, there's no problem. But what about most of you that don't? Like myself, there's a good chance that you could qualify to sell a private label battery from a major manufacturer. The criteria for this will depend on your geographic location, among other factors. By purchasing batteries at cost, this obviously makes you more competitive on new equipment. Adding to this benefit is your opportunity to sell and regenerate that battery every 2 to 3 years, increasing your profit potential. Used or reconditioned sales. After some time in the battery business, you will have accumulated cells which can be regenerated and used to replace the defective cells. This can become very lucrative as a used battery can be sold at 50 to 60% of new with minimal cost. So let's say that the customer battery is junk and you don't have the cells or a used battery in stock. The worst case scenario is you have to go out to your local battery supplier and purchase one of their recon batteries. Yeah, right. The difference is now you can load bank that battery to verify it meets what they represented it as. And then you can go ahead and regenerate it, therefore giving your customer a quality reconditioned battery. Are there any other internal benefits we haven't discussed? Yeah, here's a good one. Our sales manager bought a TMG15 3-wheel Clark for $900, including trucking, from a customer that went out of business. We load tested the battery and it only lasted 19 minutes. All the voltage and the hydrometer readings were fairly low, but they were even. Bottom line, we did our 72-hour regeneration process and then retested the battery. It lasted 3 hours and 43 minutes. That result turned this $900, basically scrap lift truck, into a $5,500 to $6,000 cheapie. I live in Arizona, and recently the California carbon footprint laws have really started to affect us. We know now that we need to discuss this as soon as possible and find a remedy. The remedy is through regeneration. I personally would like to invite you here in Phoenix, so give me a call so that we can discuss the dates, and I'll try to keep it down to about 110 degrees.